Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me today on a conversation with I'm your humble host, Floyd Marshall Jr. And today I'm joined by a good friend, good brother that I've known for quite some time. Uh, Actually started out my full-length feature acting career with this brother a long time ago on the campus of Lincoln University on
Yes.
a little known film or a well-known film to people in the indie film community, sure, but still
Uh,
bittersweet,
yes.
A Troy Nixon film. We met some good people on that set. I met you, I met
Yes.
Sky,
Yep.
I met Dwight Bazemore, Keon Smith. Oh
hmm
my gosh, who else? Who else was on that film?
Whew, it eludes me
Gosh,
now.
what is her name? She sings. She's such a phenomenal singer. Oh my gosh, her name does not come. I see her
I know.
clear as
I
a
don't know
day.
Brandy's last name. With the lead actress Brandy, I forget, but she's actually out. Her husband is from out here, so she's back and forth. I just reconnected with her on Instagram,
Oh,
but
okay.
I forget her last name. She's not doing any acting anymore, but
Oh, nice, nice,
Uh,
nice.
yeah,
Well,
yeah. We met a lot. I mean, I have French met a lot of people over there on that set that I continue friendships to this day.
yeah,
Me and Sky still continue to work together. Actually, when I met Sky on that, I ended up when I did my first feature film, I ended up casting him for the lead role for that. So yeah,
yeah. We're gonna talk about that with another friend of ours, Nicole.
yes,
So, and we're going to get to the show in a minute, folks. But we're going down memory lane a little bit here. I was talking to my wife yesterday, and I was just telling her all of the people that I met on that particular film set and how interesting it was that we were all kind of just starting out
yeah,
and where we are now and
yes,
how it's just a progression. And so many people don't get that it takes a very long time for you to be on in this business, but you know what, it also takes you a while to figure out exactly what it is that you're going to do in this.
yes, yep, absolutely, absolutely.
Because I mean, we were all acting, and now you're one of the the best DPs and editors out there. I'm doing this. I had film festivals and all of that. Keon has his own clothing line and doing his thing, and Sky, doing stuff and writing stuff for television, and it's Dwight's doing his thing. So it's just crazy how just to see how everybody is growing and flourishing, and it's just a beautiful thing to see. So shout out to Troy Nixon,
Yes.
wherever you happen to be, my good brother. Shout out to you. But let's get to this. So you've been doing this for a long time. My
Yeah.
first question is, why did you decide to become a filmmaker?
Wow. I mean, since I was a kid, man, I just loved movies. I always watched TV. From when I was a kid, I watched cartoons, trying to figure out, how I can be one of the voices of a cartoon. To when I start getting into my teen years, just leaving school, go straight to the movie theater, and sneaking in different theaters, and be there all late to the late afternoon, coming home real late. Um, I don't know, man. I just loved films, and after that, that I started going to the library and looking up, like, how can I be a part of this business? What kind of like role can I play in this? And I wanted to do it all. Like, I wanted to act, and then I wanted to write. I wanted to star, direct, like all that type of energy, man. I just wanted to create, to be honest with you, and
Mhm.
just watching different people create on TV just inspired me to want to create.
Oh, okay. And with that, because we kind of actually talked about the one of the questions that I was going to ask you about the fact that you did do some acting, early on, and again, that's where we met on Troy Nixon's film, Still Bittersweet. Um, but then you also started writing and producing. So, and the question I was going to ask you was, were you kind of waffling back and forth between what it is that you really wanted to do, but you just said you wanted to do it all. So when did you make the decision to finally, and I can't even say settle on one thing because you're doing two things pretty damn well. So when did you decide to settle on mainly being a director of photography and editing?
I think it was just kind of like where I could get my foot in the door at, like where the opportunity lied.
Mm.
So my good friend Jamal Hill, who's a phenomenal director, he was doing a film called The Available Wife, and he asked me, he was like, yo, would you be up to DP it? And I was like, hell yeah. So, so he pitched me as a DP, and they ended up going with somebody else. But he was
Mm.
like, don't worry, I'm gonna pitch you to be the editor. And I was like, all right, cool. Cause like I learned how to edit out of a necessity back in college. Um, and I just happened to really understand story and I knew the functionality of how it goes. And I
Mhm.
just happened to be good at it. But it's just one of those things that I had in my back pocket. So I was like, all right, cool. I'll do it. And he he told me later on that he knew that I would treat that movie as if it was my film. So
Mm.
that's why he wanted me to be a part of it. And I ended up killing that. That movie ended up getting into the ABFF. Then was picked up by All Black. Then went on to be on BET,
Mhm.
and still one of the best movies. Uh, that well, it comes on all the time on BT Her, but it was starring I think KJ Smith, who's on Sisters. He's just one of the stars of Sisters. So it's
Yes.
like, yeah, people love that film.
Yeah. That's okay. We gonna go off script of my questions because
Okay.
you brought up a really good point. Somebody recommended you. Somebody went to bat for you.
Yes.
And Jamal Hill is not no small whatever in this business. Another Philly zone. What is it about you, Lionel, that would make someone? Because again, Jamal Hill is a director in Hollywood, films with budgets.
Right.
What is it about you, in your opinion, that you think would make Jamal Hill say, you know what? I'm not going to go to bat for you once. I'm going to go to bat for you twice.
Man, I just think it's me staying humble, hungry, constantly working on my craft. Because as he was doing his thing in Hollywood, I was constantly, sharpening my sword too, doing everything I could in Philadelphia. As you probably know, like anybody who had an independent film in Philly, I tried to be a part of it in some kind of
Mhm,
capacity, whether it was, man, shoot, just edit a trailer or whatever it was. I just wanted to be a part of it. And I just continued to keep working and growing. And I'll tell you this: before we even shot that film, I was like on his first big feature film,
mhm,
Brotherly Love. I wanted to just shadow him, and he was like, no, 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 we're gonna get you paid on here. Once you shoot the behind the scenes stuff.
mhm,
So I shot the behind the scenes, was a PA on that. So I was doing a whole bunch of things, just learning and growing, and
mhm,
he saw my work ethic, and from that, then it was a couple little smaller projects that I helped him out on. So he just saw my work ethic and saw
mhm.
my integrity, and I was just a good friend, and loyal, man, and just stay humble. That's all I really could say, man.
Okay, okay. But you know what? I mean, all of that is true because again, we've known each other for a long time. You actually, did some DP on one of my films.
Yeah,
Good grief, of what is it, Child of God,
yeah,
and so I know your work ethic firsthand, and it always stood out, and that was one of the things that I always loved about you. That when and I want folks to hear what I'm about to say. Regardless of the level of film, Lionel always showed up, and that paid off because you always brought a very high level of professionalism to to the film set, which is absolutely amazing. And I always say to people, do not get to Hollywood and then say, I'm going to develop that particular habit.
Yeah.
Develop it before you get there, so that when you get there, it's second nature. So that when
Right.
Jamal or someone of that caliber sees you, they're like, oh, it's not even a question, because when it was a budget of $500, he was the exact same way if it was a budget of $5 million. So
Awesome.
what would you say to anyone that's getting in this business, as far as having a professional work ethic is concerned? Someone said, oh, this is what I want to do. What would you say to someone, someone that's looking to break in? What would be some advice you would give them?
Man, I say wherever you at locally, try to get involved with whatever you want to do. If you want to do movies, find out who's doing movies there. Go to one of the local colleges and see like how you can be a part of somebody making a student film or just shooting an indie and try to be a part of that. And then like you said, just show up professional, do your job, stay confident in your skill set and just work as hard as you possibly can because it's going to show. You know, um, don't say, okay, just because they don't have no budget, I'm going to half-ass it. Nah, just bring your A game every single time. Because whether it's a very small budget or a high budget, listen, it's hard to make films. It's difficult. It's very difficult to make films. So keep that same hunger, that same um, energy, and bring it to the smaller budgets when you're first starting out. And that's going to maintain with you, and people are going to see, because you never know who you're working with today, who they're going to be tomorrow. Because people move up in this business very, very quickly. And be nice too. Be nice to everybody. Be like we said, be professional, but be very nice. Don't the ego. You can save that. You know what I mean? Like because you're just starting out, and ego is going to get you in the way. He's going to get in the way of you possibly getting that big job. So
Mhm.
stay humble.
That's phenomenal. So I hope people listen to that. So you've created a lot of content. Why did you decide that you wanted to make your own content? What made you say one day, all right, you know what? I like being in other people's stuff, but I want to make my own. So what was the deciding factor in that?
So I started acting probably like when I was like 14, 15. I went to Freedom Theater, started taking acting classes, and like just started the audition process. And you were constantly just waiting for someone to say yes. So that led all the way up until around when I met you, and I was just like, I can't keep waiting for somebody to say yes to me. And I was observing all the little the indie films that I was on, and even the bigger films. I was just watching set. I was watching production and how it was happening. And I was like, yeah, I could do this.
Mm.
And I was a film major in school, and so I applied what I learned there, and was like, you know what, it's time for me to start off and do my own thing. And so I'm not waiting for someone to say yes to me, like, because I just wanted to create, to be honest
Right.
with you. Because my mind is constantly going, and I'm constantly inspired. I was like, let me just create. Whether and not be afraid to make mistakes too. So I just went out there and got some like-minded people. I found a tribe in Philadelphia and got with them, and we just started to create.
Yeah. So you did, and it worked out because you did. I'm going way back. Streets keep calling me. Of course, sure looks good. Again, starring Nicole Tucker and Scott Dennis. That was a really good movie.
Thank you.
Um, so how did you come up with both of them? Both of them. So how did you come up with the concept for that? Because now you're DP and you're editing and you're writing. So you just doing it like you're doing every damn thing.
Well, it was actually out of necessity. We didn't have a big budget, so
Right.
editors are expensive. And what I started to see with Streets Keep Calling Me, that was my first. It was like I call it an experimental short film because I didn't
Mhm.
really know. I didn't know the ins and outs. I didn't make a student film because I wasn't a film major. I took film and television production my first 2 years at Temple, and then my last 2 years I changed to broadcast communications because I actually thought that I was going to be like a news reporter.
Mm.
Fun fact, I literally thought I love the NBA so much. I even interned with the 76ers. I wanted to be a sideline reporter.
Oh
And
wow.
then I started to say like, nah, this is not the area I want to go into. I want to go back into film. So when I got out of school, I wrote the I wrote a short. I wrote a script with a good friend of mine, Torrance Rothmiller, who we were partners, and we did Short Looks Good. We wrote this one script, and it was very elaborate. And we're like, okay, let's try to get it made. And we started looking at it, and we're like, I don't know how we're gonna get the money to make this film. So I went back to the drawing board and just was like, let me write a shorter film, something that we actually could do. So that's what Strictly Calling Me was about, and it was very experimental. Are we really didn't know what we were doing that much. I just know that like I just wanted to write. I know if you write a good story, it'll show through.
Mhm.
So yeah, man, I came up with that, and I had an editor, and he just sat on the tapes for weeks and weeks, and I'm like, what are you doing? And he was like, oh, I get to it. And by like the third week, I'm like, man, I'm just gonna come by and get the tapes.
Mhm.
I started editing in college. Well, I worked at I took the Temple Update, which is the Temple News show,
Mhm.
and I would edit my own news packages. And I would go down to the computer room and just I didn't know anything. But at that time, YouTube wasn't YouTube. Like you
Right.
couldn't go there and try to figure out. I just went there and just tried to figure it out. And I just had a knack for it. And I got an A in the class. And I just kept that in my back pocket that I was like, at least I know how to edit. So I took the tapes, went home and edited. And I mean, I guess it turned out good because it got into a film festival. And I remember people, when I say it was an experimental, because people actually thought it was real life because we shot it really gritty and
Yeah.
like grainy, like it was almost like reality based almost. I don't know. That's how I really got into editing, and I was like, okay, at least I know how to do that. And so it came out of necessity.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Because I remember you talking about editing years ago, and how basically tedious and hard it was. And I actually tried my hand at it for like 10 seconds. I actually bought the software, and
Yeah,
I uploaded it to the computer, and then I turned it on, and these wheels are spinning and all of this stuff. And I'm like, you know what? This is a stay in your lane moment right here.
yeah.
So let me turn off the computer, and if I turn it back on, then I'm gonna be in Final Cut writing something. It's very difficult. So the fact that you were able to basically teach yourself and then excel at it, speaks volumes to your dedication to the craft. But let me ask you about Sure Looks Good, because that was a really good movie.
Thank you.
You got a deal, a distribution deal. I'm not going to name the company, but you got a distribution deal. And I remember asking you about it years ago. You may not even remember the conversation, but you basically said that you didn't like the way it turned out, and if you had to do it again, you wouldn't do it again with that particular company.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, if you had to do it again, or if the occasion arose where you made another feature film, because we even talked about, you know, you making another feature film. But, see, I'm bringing up a lot of the conversations that we had on set.
Yeah.
And, you were basically saying you wouldn't do another feature film until your money was right. And that was something that I said as well. That's why I ain't never made another one, because the way I want to make it and the type of money that I would need,
Right.
that ain't jiving. But if you were to make a feature film, what would be different about this time around if you were approached by a distributor?
So, first of all, so Sure Looks Good. We sold the film to them, and that was, man, I like a couple years ago, maybe like 2-3 years ago, when Tubi was like really starting to like come up.
Mhm.
Now everybody is doing deals with Tubi, but someone sent me, it was like, oh, your film is on Tubi. And I'm like, damn, man. We sold the rights to it. So it's on Tubi, but I don't get anything from it, because we ended up selling it instead of it licensing, like, or doing a partnership deal where they would distribute it, but we would still keep the rights to it. So we sold the film. And I was like, man, when I look at we got an advance, and then it was how much copies to sell, because when we got our distribution deal, the DVDs were still being sold. We were like the Blockbuster was just getting ready to go out of business, and so they were still like peddling the DVD, and depending on the sales, you had to recoup the advance, and it was just a bad deal. But it got us out there, and at least it gave me some validity that, like, I was professional at least. But if I had to do it again, and first, if I had to do it again, I know so much more now about the business side that I would just license it for amount of time to a couple different places, and then I would also, man, I would just hire, if I had the right money, I would just hire all the people that knew more than me, so I could make a phenomenal movie. Because that's the key thing. Like, you don't want to be, especially as a director, man, you don't want to be the smartest person on set, because a lot of times, man, I probably want my DP to be smarter than me, because he might think about something like, this is the idea I have. I want him to be able to show me an angle or a way to convey that visually, that maybe I wasn't thinking about. So film is a collaborative effort. I know the director gets all the credit, but without your team, like, and that goes down from the set design to hair and makeup. Everybody's got to be strong, and they got to be on their A game. So you want to make sure you have people that are very smart in their area, that is going to it's not going to show any black eyes when you see the film.
So with that, because you said something very interesting, it being a collaborative effort, but also giving everybody that's actually working on the film a voice. So I take it that your film sets are pretty open, but at the end of the day, your decision is a final decision. What do I have that right?
Yeah, I mean, so with directing, it's everybody. So directing is about leadership. It's really about being able to put a team together and have them work in conjunction. And not everybody can do that. A lot of people think that directing in particular is about yelling, action, and cut. And I see that all the time, and I'm like, okay, yeah, it's way deeper than that. From when you're in pre-production, understanding what kind of colors that the lead character is going to wear, because that's part of their character development. It's a lot of deep layered things that you got to do to really be great. Because I think I say this to people all the time. I don't think people really understand what they're watching when they see films. Like they say, "Oh, this is good," but I always ask people, like, "Well, what did you like about it?" And it's typically when you're talking to somebody that's not really professional in the professional business, they're just saying surface level stuff. But it's so many things that subconsciously you watch, you don't even realize this is why you like it. So you've got to be able to layer, in pre-production, start those layers and start those processes that's going to have people thinking, wow, this is a good film. And they don't even realize why it's so good.
That is a wow. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you just got a master class. That shit right there was but you know what? But that is so true because oftentimes you may watch a scene and it'll resonate and you're sitting there trying to figure out why did that hit me that way?
Mm-hmm.
And a good friend of mine, Darian Donju out in Atlanta, he's a phenomenal special effects guy. He was talking about when he's making his films, he's not really big on language, but he's very big on feeling because, like
Yes.
what you just described, the lead character wearing a certain color, and then you marry that with a particular piece of music for that particular scene.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that the right way and you light it a certain way, you
Yes.
don't have to, no one has to say a word
Yep.
because you're looking at the colors and then the music and then the lighting, and then it may be a shadow hitting their face and you know, things are, and you're sitting here like, wow. And it's hitting you, I guess, on a visceral level. So let
Yes.
me ask you a question with that, Lionel. How the heck did you evolve into a director that approaches films like that? Because everybody don't approach it that way.
Yeah. Well, can I backtrack real quick? I want to.
Please,
Yeah, yeah.
please.
I want to go back to when I was in college. So when I was tell you when I was in the when I was so I interned for the 76ers, and at the time they didn't have a broadcast. They didn't have an internship for the broadcast team. So I took an internship with the statistical department, and I was like, all right, when I get a chance, I'm gonna see. Mark Zumoff was the play-by-play guy, and he went to Temple too. I mean, he was Temple grad. So I was like, when I see him, I'm gonna ask him, can I shadow him or do something, whatever. But so when I was interning, it was LeBron James' first year. He was a rookie,
Mm.
and so as a statistical intern, you got to work the games. So I remember Cleveland was coming to town. It was the first time he played the 76ers. And I was like, pre-game, players be out there working out, but not all of them. Only the ones that want to be great. So I was like, I bet you LeBron's going to be out there. So before every game, the press will be, they feed you. So you'll be in there. I was used to be in there with Stephen A. Smith because he used to write for the 76ers or whatever. I hurried up at 8 and ran out there. And lo and behold, LeBron was out there shooting. I was like, man, he want to be great. And it clicked to me. I was like, man, I want to be great.
Mm.
So, and I was like, but this, I was like, I like the NBA, but I want to create some stuff. And it just clicked on me that I just wanted to be great. So I started studying film more and more. I just got books. I watched movies over and over again, seeing what breaking down the scenes, seeing that it's about, the lighting, the music, everything got to be clicking together. I like a lot of the 80s films before digital because when they were shooting on film, every shot mattered. They didn't have time to like waste because film was expensive. So
Yes.
if you watch like actually you don't even got to go back. If you watch the new Top Gun, they shot it just like the 80s film where every shot goes together. You know that they strategically did that. And so I was just studying everything, man, and just like really understanding it. And I might have not even knew the language on certain things because, like I said, I wasn't a film student, and I didn't even know if directing was even the area that I was even going to go to. I just knew when I was in high school and I first looked at a book and how to be in the film business, they were like, the director, the writer, producer, editor. Those are the people that DP are the those are the top people. But there's other jobs here that you can work.
Mhm.
I'm like, all right, well, if I don't get one of those top jobs, I could work. At least I could work in the business, you know. And so I I just start studying, man, and doing, doing the best I can to like to get in the business.
See, again, ladies and gentlemen, I really hope that when you listen to this and listen to it twice, because you never catch everything when you first go around. So listen to this a couple of times because you're laying out some very important things. I I follow a lot of extremely successful people. Kind of like when you walk down on the basketball court and you saw LeBron, because you said, you know what? In order to be great, I got to see what the great ones are doing.
Yes.
That's the way this thing works. If you're going to level up, you got to shadow a Jamal Hill. You got to watch a LeBron shoot. You got to listen to Eric the hip hop preacher on Instagram.
Yeah.
You gotta do these things, and it always interests me how some people want to go 0 to 100 in like 2 seconds, not
Yeah.
understanding that there's a reason that B comes after A.
Yes.
There are steps to this thing, and it takes a long time,
Mm-hmm.
but when you build a foundation such as you've done, good things happen because you have a solid foundation. And one of the clear cut or clear cut proof of that is the fact that you are always working. I follow you on social media, so I see I
Yeah.
see what you're up to. And like, going back to 2012 to 2018, you produced 4 short films, a web series, and a feature, and you worked on other people's stuff.
Yeah.
So you staying busy, I understand, was a part of you wanting to, level up in the business. But what was there any other reason why you said, you know what, I'm not going to be somebody that sits around and sits on their hands?
Yeah, man. I just at those that time frame, man. I just want to get better every time. I would watch. So I'm very hard on myself, man. I
Mhm.
literally like I'm my worst critic, and I literally when I miss something that I like, maybe the audience might not catch, but I catch it. I'm like, all
Mhm.
right, I want to get right back in there and try it again. So I would just keep working. I just, anybody who wanted to create, especially in Philadelphia, but I would team up with them like, hey, whatever you need me to do, whatever, I'll bring my equipment, let's just do it. So I always try to, you know, uh, just just keep sharpening my sword, man. Like I said, I didn't want my wheels to be spinning. I wanted to just keep because a lot of times, man, people would do a project and they'll chill. Because I see a lot of people that from Philadelphia that like they do a project and then their next project is either the same or it got worse. Like, and it's like I really feel like you really gotta take criticism from people that you really respect in the business. I don't want people to say, "Oh, this is good," whatever. I send it to people and get their honest opinion. Like,
Mhm.
and that comes from when I started acting because you gotta have a thick skin when you act.
Mhm.
You be in the room auditioning. Man, I went in the room. I went to audition for The Wire, and it was like 6 people in the room. I'm like, it was the executive producer to the guy that created it, the
Mhm.
casting director. I'm like, oh Jesus, and you know what I mean. So you got to be able to be picked apart. So I learned to have thick skin in this business. So nothing's going to hurt me because you can always tell when somebody is like quote unquote hating
Mhm.
versus like criticism that's going to make you better. And you got to surround yourself with people that you respect, that is going to help you with getting your skills better. So and I've been blessed to be able to have a good number of people in my life that that definitely helped me.
Yeah. But see, with I always say to people, because I look at it slightly differently.
Okay.
Are you critiquing me or are you criticizing me? Because if
Mm,
you're criticizing me, you're not helping me. But
mm,
if you're critiquing me, because if I send you something and you do an honest critique, because I remember years ago I sent the script out to this service, and Lionel, they straight tore that thing up one side and down the other. And when they sent me all the notes, initially I got offended. And I'm like, well, who the F do they think? What? But then I had to sit in it.
mhm.
And I said, now, wait a minute. You sent it to them. They didn't send it to you.
Right.
Read what they wrote. So then I went back and I read everything that they wrote. And everything that they wrote was true plus 100 times.
Mhm.
And I ended up sitting down, revising and rewriting the script. And then I sent it out to some people and they were like, I could not put it down. So if you are not open to people critiquing your work, then
Yes.
this ain't the business for you,
Not at all. Not
because
at all.
you are going to get critiqued on every single level.
Mhm.
Am I wrong in that?
No, not at all. And two, you I also say with that, stay true to who you are, because sometimes critics don't understand what you're trying to do, and so take everything and really analyze it, and see how it fits. If you are adamant about, let's just say, your choices on what you're trying to do, and you wanted to move outside the box. So sometimes people are afraid to be different,
Mhm.
and or they don't understand. um it Sometimes somebody's got to take a bunch of arrows or bullets, um and get critiqued and get tore apart, and then the second person come behind them they understood it and they do it, and then it's praised.
Mhm.
So you gotta kind of pick and choose, but you got to be able to decipher, um, like you said, what are you critiquing it or are you criticizing? Because there's a lot of people, like, with social media, everybody has a platform to give their opinion.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean that you have to listen to it.
Yeah, that is so true. As I, when I'm teaching, I tell people you take what works for you and you throw out the rest.
Yep.
If it fits what you're doing, because you're absolutely right. Because even when someone means well, if that is not fitting into your vision, then you do whatever is fitting your vision, because at the end of the day it's yours. And
Yep.
it's your story, it's your film. So you have to be comfortable in the fact that, yeah, someone may not get it, but this is the way I want to go. And I got a couple more questions for you, but real quick on that note, oftentimes I'm hearing from a lot of black writers
Uh,
when it comes to script coverage, who
yeah.
should be reading your script. Because I was in a discussion a couple of months ago with some people, and they were saying that certain persuasions should not read black people's scripts because
Yeah.
there's certain language
Yes.
that you just don't get.
Yeah.
So it goes back to that. I may send it to you and you have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about, because that is not
Your world.
what that's not your world.
Hmm.
And really quickly, I remember years ago, me and my wife went to see Remember the Zohan. And I'm sitting in the theater, and we're sitting in the theater, and these two people are sitting in front of us. And Adam Sandler's Jewish, so they were throwing a lot of using a lot of terms in the Jewish vernacular.
Hmm.
And I had absolutely no idea what they were talking about.
Yeah.
But there were two people sitting in front of us, and Lionel, they were cracking up. And me
Hmm.
and my wife are looking at each other like, what the hell is so funny?
Right.
So if Adam Sandler, for some crazy reason, has sent me his script, I'm looking at it like, yo, what's this? What's this all about? Because that's not my existence.
Hmm.
So you have to be very careful who you're actually sending your work to.
Yeah, for sure. Can you imagine? Like, Robert Townsend and Hollywood Shuffle. If he would have gave it to somebody who wasn't from that world,
Mm-hmm.
discover what is this? They
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't even understand it. They wouldn't even understand. So yeah, you absolutely correct. You're absolutely, and not everything is for everybody too. Everybody. It's a reason they say, "What's your audience?"
Yes.
So you gotta get critique from people that are familiar with that audience that you're trying to reach.
You're absolutely right. But I got a little sidetrack, bro. But we're gonna keep this thing moving because Lionel Cook is a busy man, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I'm having fun, man. I'm here.
this is phenomenal. So you were talking earlier about back in 2019, you were the editor on the Available Wife, and it gets selected to the American Black Film Festival. Now we've been to the ABFF together a couple times.
Yep.
What was that like when you hear that a film that you had worked on was now in the iconic American Black Film Festival after having been there as a spectator?
Well, let me tell you something. I kind of manifested it too, because the year before, the production company that Megamind, who did Available Wife, they had a film that won Best Feature there. And I was like, I told them, I was like, y'all gonna win it again next year. And so I was already predicting that it was going to get in or whatever. Unfortunately, we had the pandemic and it was online. So I didn't even get to go there and enjoy it, because it was the 2020 ABFF. So it was bittersweet, but I knew I just knew that kind of like really solidified the fact that I moved shortly after finishing the Available Wife. I was like, I want to do more of this. I got to go to LA. I got to move to LA, because I was like, people are not producing these level of films, unfortunately, in Philadelphia. There's a cap. I always say this, like in Philly in particular, and in cities like that, you start to get experience there, but there's going to be a time when you want to reach a level that nobody else is on. So you got to leave, and you got to be around amongst people that are higher than you. And my network I had built over that, that 2012 to that 2019, I had built a network. And most of my network was moving from, because I used to get a lot of work in New York too, but most of my network was moving either to Atlanta or LA. And I knew more people in LA. So I was like, I got to move to LA. And yeah, man, it's worked out. So it's been working out, and it's going to continue to work out.
So how was the transition? Because that was my next question. How was the transition to LA? Because well, here's the thing. So you get to LA, and then you get the assistant editor for True to the Game 2.
Yeah.
Then you get Tiffany Yancey's film, another good friend of ours.
Yes.
See, ladies and gentlemen, see what happens when let me stop for a second and say this. Build phenomenal relationships, because everyone that you've heard us mention on this show is a friend first.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we all started in the same place.
Yep.
And now you actually worked on Tiffany Yancey's film. But how was that transition from Philadelphia to LA? I mean, I know you hit the ground running job wise, but everything else, how did that work out? Because the cost of living is
yeah. So the cost of living is double, maybe triple Philadelphia. So the first thing I needed to do was just get my bearings on where I was going to stay and everything. And let me just go back. This was a long time coming too. Like I literally was like trying to plan for years since like 2015 to move out to LA.
Okay.
And every year I would make another excuse like, all right, I got this got to be right. This got to be right. Man, listen, you got to believe in yourself and you got to take a leap. You guys got to take a leap. If you believe in yourself, man, listen, and you have the work ethic, especially if you come from a town like Philadelphia and you already working hard, you gonna make it out here because you ain't going, you don't want to, like, for me, like, failure is not an option. Now I can make mistakes and you like, you know, and learn from them, but like giving up and all that type of stuff, like, man, that just bothers me. I can't, I don't, I don't, I don't understand people that start stuff and don't finish it. Like, I got to finish it. So I knew if I came out here, I would be. And I had a lot of skills too. Like, I was like, okay, worst case scenario, I could do this. Worst case scenario, I could do that. Worst case scenario, I don't know. Shoot, I could Uber. You know, until I could whatever. I had a car, so I wasn't afraid to, like, you know, just go out there and just take that leap. So the transition was, it worked out pretty well because I just let my network know I was there, and it was like, okay, cool. What you know, you want to work? Boom. You know, and of course, I'll tell you this story though. When I first got there, I was showing people my work, and they were like, okay. And then I was really watching people's work out here. Just people, it's so many talented people, and I was like, wow, I got a lot of work to do. But I didn't let that discourage me. I was like, all right, I saw people's reels and work that they did, and I was like, okay, I want mine to look like that. So let me just try to just figure it out, and that's all I did, man. Like, shoot, man, I've worked on. It's some of the things that I didn't even specify. Like, I got an opportunity to be assistant editor on Sesame Street for a minute.
Wow.
Yeah. So and that, listen, like, growing up, man, that was like a dream of mine. Yeah, man. So it's, you know, and that wouldn't have happened unless, you know, my network, somebody brought me in. It's like, I got assistant editor job for you, and I had been the main editor, and I was like, you know, yeah, I take it. You know, it's another, like, so don't be afraid to, like, you know, go back. Like, I'll assistant all day to somebody who's doing something phenomenal. Like if they call me tomorrow and say, yo, I'm doing Black Panther 3, you want to be an assistant editor? Hell yeah. Yeah, hell yeah. And assistant editor, they don't really cut at all. It's just pretty much like prepping it for the actual editor. And it's hard work. But you're learning and getting that experience to somebody who's experienced and seasoned, and that's only going to make you better.
Right.
If you have that drive.
And it also goes back to that work ethic and being a consummate professional. And it also lets people know that I'm ready at a moment's notice.
Yeah.
So that when the production supervisor and editing job on Lace comes up,
yes,
you get called.
Yep.
So now, how did you get that?
So once again, Jamal Hill got an opportunity to direct all 6 episodes of season 1. And he was like, yo, I got a guy. Because let me just tell you this. In this business, it's hard to make stuff. And you're around people for hours and days at a time. You want to be around people that you're comfortable with, you know, can do the job. And I can turn my back and leave the room, and I know the job's going to get done. So he pitched me for it. I had an interview and I got it. And, you know, I worked extremely hard. I worked so hard on that. I ended up getting sick. I ended up catching COVID, and I had it real bad.
Wow.
But just because I was working so hard, but I wanted to show, because this is my first television like that's going to be on TV. I was like, yeah, I got to work hard as I don't know what. And yeah, man, it was just, you know, if you look at any director, they're pretty much, or any team, any production team, they're working with the same people over and over again because it works. It's very difficult to go to a movie set, not know anybody, and for it to really gel. It's going to take shoot, man, it might take to the end of production for the gears really be rolling. But so you want to get as many people that present a comfort level as you could
Mhm.
possibly get. And yeah, so he pitched it to me. And I really just worked hard on it. And they got a season 2. So I did something right, I guess.
That's beautiful. It goes back. See, when you show up, it's so it's so simple. Just show up.
Yeah.
That's basically it. Show
Yeah.
up ready to work, and you build a reputation as somebody, that is reliable, and especially when you're at that level that you are. Because again, time really is money.
Yeah.
So if you messing up the money, you messing up the time.
Listen, and these networks, they don't, I'm gonna just be real with you. They don't care what you got going on and nothing. They pay the production company for these episodes, and we're gonna air them. We want them. Period. We ain't trying to hear nothing else. So all these excuses, if you're giving yourself, one thing that I hate is people that give a bunch of excuses, man. Like I don't want to hear it. Just save it. Just save it. Like, because they not trying to hear it at this level. They not trying to hear it. Like, okay, they be like, okay, and then you see your phone won't ring no more. So you got to be ready to show up. No excuses. Just stay ready.
Wow. So we're almost done, but I just got a couple more questions
Man.
for you.
Okay.
So 2022, again, you're the DP and you're the editor of the Invisible Ones short film,
Yep.
multiple festival selection. Then you go to Haiti to shoot a Haitian wedding, and you're also the DP and the editor. And then you edit Strange Love, which is now on Prime Video.
Oh, Haitian Wedding is on there too. Yeah, they just dropped. Both of them just dropped. They actually dropped the Haitian Wedding dropped February 10th, and then Strange Love dropped February 14th on Valentine's Day. And actually, nice. They both should be on BET later on this year.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So now, all of these amazing opportunities, and I know we touched on it earlier, but I just really, in closing, want to talk about everything that we basically talked about, everything that you've worked on. It seems that the one thing that was a through line is relationships.
Yes. Relationships are gold. It's worth more than money. I don't, a lot of people talk about fumble the bag, and I know they heard this before. Fumbling the bag doesn't mean money most of the time. It means that don't burn bridges, don't mess up. Like, listen, I have rich friends that I've been to some amazing places, and I didn't have to spend a dime just because of relationships. Like, not a dime. And that's just being just cultivating relationships, getting to know people, get out there. Listen, this business right here, you can apply to you blue in the face. Like, they have to know who you are, and they got to know that they can trust you, that you can get the job done. Because everybody can't be over your shoulder. They got a bunch of jobs to do. They want to make sure that they're hiring a person that is skilled, has the work ethic, and can get the job and to deliver when that date is for them to deliver. So you have to, and you get your next job based on your relationships. Like, I get all my jobs based on somebody. Sometimes, I know in 2022, I was so busy that I couldn't, like, my phone was ringing all the time. I couldn't take all the jobs because, oh yeah, somebody referred you. Somebody this referred you. And yeah, man, it's all based on relationships. So I will tell you that, when you get in this business, network. I know they hear it all the time, but it's super important. People got to know who you are. They know that they can trust you, and they'll put you in a job because, like, everybody's at stake. If they vouch for you and you don't get the job done, that blackens the eye of my reputation. So Yeah. And I'm one of these people, man. People hit me up all the time, like, yo, how can I do this? How can I do it? I'm like, listen, just get started where you at. Check back at me when you have some work you can show me. And yeah, I'll put you down because I can always, refer people, but I gotta make sure that you could do the job because my neck's on the line. My relationships that I fostered, you know, is at stake. So, you know,
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. It's I don't if you've ever seen the movie Donnie Brasco.
yeah, absolutely.
I always tell people it's a Donnie Brasco situation. Al Pacino spoke for Johnny Depp.
Yes.
And when Al Pacino spoke for Johnny Depp, whatever Johnny Depp did, it was basically like Al Pacino was doing it.
Yeah.
So I tell people all the time, this is a Donnie Brasco situation. So if somebody speaks for you, it's not just you. And
Mhm.
guess what? You being the newbie, you being the novice, they ain't checking for you. But guess who they
Right.
checking for? They checking for Lionel because
Yeah.
Lionel's been in this business. Lionel knows what this thing of ours is about. And
Right.
Lionel sent me that. I got to go talk to Lionel.
Yeah.
And Lionel might not like the conversation.
Right.
So that's what people need to understand at the end of the day. This is a business.
Mm-hmm.
And before we go, let's talk about that
Okay.
because a lot of times people get that twisted. I ask filmmakers all the time when I'm speaking. One of the things I ask them, Lionel, when I first started is how many business people do we have in the room?
Mm.
And hardly anyone raises their hand.
Wow.
And I'm like, all of you are business people because what you just explained is I need a product delivered on time. So talk about that from the aspect of filmmaking as a business and how that basically affects all of the creative process.
Yeah. So this business is you're a service business unless you're like pretty much if you're hired by somebody um and they give you X amount of dollars to produce something, they're buying a product from you. So you're providing a service. So you got to treat it just like any other kind of business. It's like you got to deliver the product. If you don't deliver the product, what's going to happen? Your customer is going to get unhappy, and they might write a bad review about you. And what's going to happen with that? You're going to miss out sales because people going to read the reviews like, nah, I ain't messing with them. So you got to make sure that you understand that this is a business. I know people want to get creative and they don't want to mess with the business. No, you got to understand the business because this is a part of it. And you might shoot. If you don't understand the business, you might miss out on money. Like I didn't understand the business when I first did my feature film that I shouldn't have sold it. But I don't make that, I won't make that mistake again. Now I educated myself on that I can do licensing deals and keep my IP. And to this day, I would have still been making money off of it had I known that back then. But I was a novice. But it's not about, willowing in your losses. It's about learning. And the next time around, okay, I ain't gonna do that. I'm gonna do it better. So yeah, you have to have some etiquette of the business because if not, you're gonna be in bad shape. And you probably without you knowing the business, you might not get hired again because you don't understand like okay, I may have overspoke because a lot of times, I don't, and I think plenty of people probably made this mistake before. I know I have. Like, if someone hires you as a work for hire, they hire you a specific job, you know, and sometimes you might want to give input, but they didn't ask for your input. We asked you to do this job. Just do it. We paid you for it. I don't want to hear your mouth. So you got to understand that. You gotta read the room because sometimes people are open. I'm always open to hear your suggestions. I might not take them, but you might have a good one. But you gotta read the room. Sometimes people want exactly like, hey, this is what I want, and you gotta deliver it. You gotta deliver it. This is a service business.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that because that's something I tell people all the time. They're like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Well, let's look at it this way. When you go to the movie and you sit and you watch a trailer of something that's not coming out for another year or two, I said what they're basically doing is they're priming the audience to make another purchase.
Yep.
of the product that you have, that they've made, so that when you make your independent film, unless you're doing it as a hobby, it's a product. Because okay, after you make it, you put it in the can, what are you doing? You're gonna rent a theater, and you're going to do what? You're going to sell tickets to who? A consumer. And then they're going to come in and they're going to visually consume what you just made.
Right.
And when you break it down to them, they're like, huh, this is why you need to learn this thing. So you won't give away your IP. Because see, now someone is, and here's the thing. Now someone else is making money off of what? Your product.
Yep.
They've taken your intellectual property that they didn't do any hard work on, and now they're raking in the money. So it's always good to learn the business.
Yep.
But Lionel, any last words, my brother? Any advice for the people watching and the people who will be watching?
Man, just stay inspired. Whatever inspires you, just stay inspired. Keep working, and just don't give up, man. Just keep going, because everybody. Shoot, man, there's so many Philly people out here. One of my good friends just got a billboard on Sunset, and if you ever been in LA, Sunset Boulevard has all the billboards,
Miss
and
Reveal.
it's like, whoa. So one of my good friends, she's got a show on Disney Plus, and she got
Sabrina.
first billboard. Yes, she got her first billboard. I'm so proud of her. She's been grinding for a long time. So it's like, you just gotta stay at it. You just gotta say that. Don't give up. If you believe in your skills, the right person just hasn't discovered you yet. Just stay ready, man. We talked about this the whole interview, man. Just stay ready. Keep sharpening your swords, and don't give up, and stay positive. I know it's hard, but just stay positive, man.
So where can people find you? Where can people find Mr. Lionel Cook?
Man, I'm pretty much, I'm on all social media platforms, but the where you can find me is at Instagram. That's the thing I'm on mostly. And that's Lionel Cook, LIONEL COOK. And just hit me up, and we could chop it up.
Okay, well, this is beautiful. Now I'm gonna be out in LA in July, so we definitely gotta.
Oh yeah, I'll be here
because I'm coming out for the Me Show Film Festival.
Okay.
Missed you last year, man, but we definitely gotta hook up and get some lunch. But again, brother, this has been phenomenal. It's always good seeing you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. I'm like, man, why haven't I had Lionel on the podcast yet? So I gotta, then I gotta hit up Sky, because I had Kevin on a couple weeks ago.
Gotta have Sky on.
Yeah, got to get Sky on, and then hopefully we can all come on, have you on, have Neil on, just have the whole crew on it, and we could just sit and chop it up and just reminisce on where we started, and the journey to right now. But again, thank you so much for joining me tonight, brother. And ladies and gentlemen, if you like the episode, please share it. This has been some absolutely phenomenal information. Share this with your friends, because again, Lionel dropped some serious gems. He dropped some serious fire, and I don't want to keep all of this good knowledge to myself. Now, here's another thing. Please incorporate this into your daily business. You will not lose if you do that. But again, if you like the episode, head over to Apple Podcasts and leave a rating. Let everybody know how you enjoyed it, and share it with your friends. And we're going to close this thing out like I do all the time. Have a phenomenal week. Hit the ground running. As Lionel said, burn the ships. There is no such thing as failure. There's only failing forward. And love this like a hobby, but above all else, treat it like a business. All right, ladies and gentlemen, have an absolutely phenomenal night. Peace.
Peace.